Welcome along,
That is
weekend
unbelievable.
roundup. Oh my days.
Wow.
We're in for a great show today, guys. Well, what about the North London derby?
I'm not getting rattled.
We're 3 points off top 4, so it's not looking too bad.
Foden
I'd
88,
say
Saka
that's about
87.
right,
I think that's wrong.
Nicely put your top on. You want to take it off and get the branding out? Happy birthday!
Make a wish to win the league.
I did.
How much chance will Arsenal have of winning the Champions League?
0, mate.
If we got through
Can't do it,
PSV, do you think there's any chance?
No,
that we
no,
know?
no.
Hang on, let me finish.
Predictions
2-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Liverpool.
2-0 Wolves.
Chelsea to beat Man United at Old Trafford.
Still
You're in
there.
trouble if we win this game.
You better not lose on Saturday.
We beat the world champions this weekend.
That makes you world champion.
We're the world champions, but you're not in a title.
This is why you'll never win the league.
6 million down the drain.
Robbie celebrating a 1-0 win. Abby Pilates instead of trophies. You never walk alone.
Catch us every Monday for the weekend roundup. Let's go. What do you do with yours? I do unlimited football content.
Well, I do unlimited bragging.
Well, I do unlimited swiping right.
Well, I do unlimited doom scrolling.
Well, I do unlimited sliding into the DMs.
Well, I do watching TikTok on the bus without headphones unlimited.
Oh, God.
Yes, people, you heard that right. We've teamed up with Rocket Mobile UK for the mobile phone plan for football fans in the UK. You heard it there. It's unlimited text, unlimited calls, unlimited data, and 20 gigs of roaming in the EU when you go abroad for just £16 a month, plus perks, contents, prizes when you make the switch. So scan that QR on your right-hand side of your screen or click the link below after this show is finished. But apart from that, my name is Dylan and welcome back to Live at 5 on DR Sports YouTube or Samsung TV, everything. Hope you guys, we're over the hump of the week now. I think you're on to Thursday, work's finished, Friday's tomorrow, Premier League's back in action on the weekend, and I'm joined on my left by Laurie. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Not too bad at all, as you might well imagine.
Yeah, after
okay.
yesterday's result.
He was just asking away from football. He didn't need to know
No,
how
but
you
that's
feel
part
it
of the
in
whole
football terms.
ecosystem, isn't it?
You know.
Football's part of that.
If you do football content, I feel like football's part of it.
Well, I'm good, and I'm not talking about my team. I'm just generally.
No, but it helps, right? When your team is playing
No,
well.
it definitely does help. I'll be honest with you, man. This time last year.
I can vouch for that one.
Yeah, so there's plenty in life to be, not too happy about. But if your team's playing well, top of the table, winning basically, then it does help.
That was me last year.
We've got Joe in the chat, Ryan in the chat, Mick in the chat as well. But actually, I want to start on the last night's game.
Sure.
I'm sure you've covered it earlier on today, but I want to get your thoughts on that. It was a weird one, wasn't it? At points, Arsenal, you look great. Obviously, Gyokeres getting a much-needed goal, something they really, really needed. But in the second half, it felt like you were getting done at the back post way too easily. And after the game, some of your players came out and they weren't happy with how they played. Like, they publicly said they thought they really didn't kill that one off. Did you think it was right for Arteta to bring Havertz and Marino on when you're 3-1 up and play them both as strikers? Because for me, it felt like if you got 3-1 lead away from home in the semi-final first leg, just keep it. But I feel like Garnacho's second goal has added a real extra spin on this tie.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, I must admit, at the time, I didn't really have too much of a problem with it because I did expect both of those guys to get minutes. So I think he was just trying to keep everybody active. And at that time, we were in a good place. I mean, we should have killed that game off. When we was 3-1 up, it was Marino had a really good opportunity.
He did, yeah.
And that was a kind
And
of...
Gabriel as well, actually, I think, from a corner as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Toward the end of the game.
And when the ball comes to Marino, most Arsenal fans would tell you this, in that position, he would be one of the players that you would want him to receive that ball because his finishing is really good. And he kind of shanked it. And then within a couple of minutes later, Chelsea go down the other end and score a goal, which, to be honest, they should not have been allowed to score. Garnacho scored the first one. And the second one, he was literally in the same place that he scored the first one. He was afforded far too much time. Whilst the connection on the shot was good, I don't think you should have gone past the two defenders, let alone the goalkeeper. So that was disappointing. Having said that, though, I predicted a 2-2 before that game. So to go there and get a win, I think that's advantage Arsenal. So I was happy overall with the performance.
Yeah, Jamie Redknapp after the game said something I thought was really interesting. He said that he reckons at the moment Saka is actually a problem for Gyokeres scoring goals. Do you agree? Do you think there's a certain level of maybe like I don't know quite know how he was approaching that, but effectively Redknapp said that the way Saka plays football hinders Gyokeres' chance of actually scoring
goals.
goals.
I understand that because we've had the same thing with Salah and Isak, where Saka and Salah are both masters at cutting in and going that route. But for an out-and-out number 9, he needs Saka going to the byline and cutting it back. He doesn't necessarily... If he's in position, he's on the last man, he's got his hand on the defender, and he sees Saka cut in, there's not really much Gyokeres can do with that angle of the body that Saka is kind of showing you. I mean, we've had it with Salah, right? He'll cut in, and Isak kind of goes, where do I fit in here? Yeah, you can play that kind of in-swinging cross, but I think Saka 9 times out of 10 will either look to shoot or almost lay it off to an Odegaard who might be on the edge of the box. And by that time, you've even hindered Gyokeres even more because it's coming central. Right. He needs it out wide to come back in.
Exactly.
And I understand the logic in it. I think there's definitely something to be said on the training ground. If Isak or if Gyokeres speaks to Salah or Saka respectively and says, look, when you get in that position, where do you want, like as a striker, as a number 9, if you're cutting in, like where should I go? Like, should I look for a rebound off the keeper, which obviously, last night worked? Or do I make an angle where you can chip a ball in? I mean, he kind of wants the left-footed cross coming from the left side, not the right side. Yeah. So I understand the logic in that, and we're suffering with that ourselves. But this can be fixed in training. If you make the right runs, if you do maybe a reverse pass, if Gyokeres, if he uses Saka cutting in as almost the trigger to run across the line and go for that reverse pass, then that's there. But I do understand the logic of a number 9, an out-and-out number 9, being frustrated by their winger cutting in instead of going outside and then coming back.
I would agree. I mean, there are a couple of things in that question that you raised that I actually made that point previously about when people were giving Gyokeres mad, what I call over-the-top stick. I was saying that we haven't found the best way of you would have heard me say that many times.
Yeah.
We're not playing to his strengths, and that was one of the things I was talking about, him not getting that early ball. It was very interesting that when Gyokeres scored yesterday, I don't know if you saw the post-match interviews, him and Ben White. Now those two have played together at Brighton, and
actually it was Ben White who was vocally unhappy with how you played in the second half. Now that I think about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but
see if I can find the quote.
Gyokeres actually said something in that. I don't know if he said it advisedly or whether it was just off the cuff.
Yeah.
But he said, as soon as I saw Ben White in there, I knew he was going to try and find me. Now, to me, that was quite intuitive because what he's saying, he knew he could rely on that ball. He made the run and he was able to score. As Alex said, sometimes with the likes of Saka and Salah and people like that, because they're left-footed, they're looking to cut back and shoot, or even if they do cross, you're not getting the ball at the right angle that you would want to exploit.
Yeah.
So there is something, as Alex quite rightly says, definitely something that could work.
Yeah, so Ben White in that interview said, we didn't play very well in the second half. Let them give us more pressure. That's how we conceded the goals, not up to our standards really, so it's a bit disappointing.
It was a bit disappointing because at 3-1, like I said, I thought, I'll take 3-1. But then we had a really good opportunity, or 2 good opportunities after that to pretty much finish it off. But hey, it is what it is.
Who's in this situation then? So obviously left wing at Arsenal is a topic in itself. It's a conversation in itself, right? Who should be starting left wing? Is it Eze, Trossard, Martinelli? Should you be signing someone? Should you have gone and got Semenyo, for example, earlier in January over Man City? That's a conversation in itself. But then if the Saka-Gyokeres dynamic isn't working, as you say, Alex, it's something you work on in training. But to work on in training, I feel like one player has to give something. Who gives that? Because Saka, we know how good he is when he's on form and he cuts in.
It's a great question, and I'm assuming it's one that they would have brought up at some point, even though internally they might not want to admit that there's a problem or there's a lack of service. They just keep doing what they're doing. We're winning games, so don't fix it if it's not broken. But look, do you want the output of, let's use Salah for an example, right? Because of the numbers that he's put up in that position. Would you want Salah cutting in more often than not and him taking away 28 to 29 to 30 goals a season? Or do you want to, I wouldn't use the word hamper because Mo Salah still gets you 20 assists a season. And that's why, yes, of course, Saka's great, but Salah there's levels, right? In terms of 30 goals, 20 assists last season, he did everything. He set up goals and scored. So there is a way of having that balance of both. But I think when you look at the outputs, football's a numbers game. When you look at the outputs, you go, do we sacrifice 10 goals for Saka, who is, we've just signed him on a new deal, he's probably the captain in a year or two, for an extra 10 Gyokeres goals? Or will those 15 to 20 Gyokeres goals be tap-ins, deflections? It's very rare that you'll see Saka assisting Gyokeres with a header, for example, or a through ball that breaks the lines. It will be Saka wanting to finish that move off himself. So what do you sacrifice? Do you say to Gyokeres, look, that's just the way it is, mate. Find a way. We're not changing. Saka gets us 20 goals. We're not changing that. So you need to work with him. But then is Saka that bothered that Gyokeres isn't scoring 2025 because he's outshining Gyokeres? Do you understand? So
Yeah, I mean, this is it, because a lot of
Would you
people
give
have
up?
said that Saka's numbers this season, he's underperforming to what he performed previously.
For sure.
So that might explain that when he's through on goal, he might fancy a shot rather than pass it, because he's thinking,
I
another
think,
goal.
in with speaking about what Alex is saying, I do think it's got to be Saka who gives something, because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're a winger, you're in a better position to create for a striker than create a shot yourself. Because if you want to go off like the best positions to score, and obviously the closer to goal you get, the easier it is to score a goal. It's easier for a winger to create that opportunity for a striker than try and do it yourself, because 9 times out of 10 you won't score that cut in and shoot. I feel like it has to be Saka in that scenario, or I don't know if it becomes trying Saka on the left instead. I'm not sure, because then that
You know what the
him
answer
cross.
is to it is a fairly obvious thing to say, but it's harder in real life, is the balance. You want the right balance, don't you? Because if you try and do the same thing every time, then the defenders are going to read that. So his decision making has to be to the point where, do I pass, do I shoot, which is the best option for the team? Because there are going to be some times when it will open up and he'll think, you know what, I fancy myself here.
Yeah.
Or he might take it down the line, beat the defender, and look up, try and find where Gyokeres is, and play
Out
the
of
pass.
10 times that he gets in that position, how many out of 10 times does he beat the man, look up, and fire it across to Gyokeres? How many times would you say? You've watched him more than me this season.
What I would say in answer to that, obviously I don't have the stats in front of me, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Because
One
I've
or
said,
two.
Dylan will attest to this. I've said it many times before. Even though Gyokeres has not, let's be honest, put up the numbers or the types of performances that I would have liked to have seen, I've maintained right from the very start that we're not playing to his best attributes. And until we do that, we're not going to get the best out of him.
Yeah, it could just be a connection thing as well. Obviously, because he said, because both of them are underperforming. Both of them are.
Yeah.
Saka's nowhere near as good as he was 18 months ago. That could just be down to a long dip in form. But then as well, it's something that I think about this so much, about what you said a few months ago about Arsenal always playing better with a number 9. Do you think there's a thing of, if Gyokeres say Kai Havertz, he's coming back right now, he's played a couple games off the bench, he'll probably start as the season goes on, maybe in the Champions League games, the rest of the league games, or some easy, quote unquote, easier round of 16 ties, for example.
Less challenging.
Yeah, less challenging. That's a good way of putting it. But could there be a thing where, let's say Kai Havertz comes back, because when Kai Havertz was playing was also when Saka was at his best, right? That might just be a coincidence, or that might be because the two of them work really well together. What if Kai Havertz was to come back, play well after Gyokeres is on the bench? Maybe that would mean that Gyokeres just isn't the profile you should have bought.
Yeah.
No, I think he is a profile we should have bought, because you do.
But it's
you
not.
do need
It's
a
just
number 9.
not working
Even as
at
an
the
option.
moment.
No, but even as an option, you need a number 9, man.
But you
Not,
could.
not as your main.
But
output,
there's having
though.
a number 9 as an option, buying a £25 million number 9, like maybe going and get, say, obviously this season, because Strand Larson got 13, 14 Prem goals last season as a rotationary option, then continuing
Not
with the
your main
normally
man.
false 9 stuff. But then there's, you bought Gyokeres to start 35 out of 38 league games and score 15 to 20 league goals.
I do think you have to be kind of patient with a project. What I would say about Havertz, and this applies for Jesus as well, who's also going to be up for consideration for that number 9 spot, is that until the arrival of Gyokeres, none of those guys are what I call prolific goal scorers.
None of them nailed it down before he came, which allowed you to go and think,
so that's why
this is the solution.
That's why I was such a keen advocate, and that is why, and I'll say this again, I've said it before, that when the whole Sesko-Gyokeres debate was ongoing, I always nailed my colours to the Gyokeres mask. I said, look, we need a guy that's a proven goal scorer. With Sesko, you're looking at a guy that's got great potential, great athleticism. I don't deny that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the numbers he's posted over the years, he's never been prolific. At least with Gyokeres, you could see a paper trail of 30-plus goals for how many assists. So you think, right, that's who we want.
I'm just going back to what Laurie said on the balance, right? And it's so important because if you've got your three up top, you want them all to be chipping in. You don't want anyone to fall behind. I know it's Liverpool, but in 2017-18, when we talk about balance, this was, in my opinion, the most balanced front three I'd ever seen. Mo Salah gets you 44 goals, 15 assists. Firmino gets 27 goals in all comps, 11 assists.
I find it mad.
And Sadio Mane gets 20 goals and 10 assists. In terms of spreading it out, 135 goals Liverpool scored that season.
Well, Klopp mentioned it the other day, didn't he? About he was like Salah and Mane were never
Bobby
like
was
good
the-
friends, but Bobby was the one.
yeah.
He quite literally in the middle of
Puts them together.
And I remember when Firmino was first playing in that role, and he just wasn't scoring a goal, and it was the best defensive striker on the planet. I can't even remember him back in 27 in a
27 goals
season.
in
I
all
didn't even
comps,
realise
bro.
that's how many he scored.
Unbelievable.
That was the
10 of those are in the Champions
was
League.
that Salah's first season?
Salah's debut season.
Salah's debut season, yeah, when he won the
44
Golden Boot.
44
That is,
goals.
I didn't realise just how many goals Firmino had got that season.
Is quite a
I
That's
mean,
a
Mane gets
mental
20.
stat.
And
Yeah.
you're going, oh, it's not as good as Firmino, mate, or Salah, half of what Salah got, but you're still going.
But that
20 goals.
also has something to do with just the whole general style of the way you guys played.
And that's why
attack-minded.
That's
We
why
don't
when
really
you
play
mention
like
the
that.
word balance, I'm trying to rack Messi, Neymar, Suarez was insane, but in terms of like all three of them putting up numbers like that, it was for Liverpool. That was the most balanced front line I've ever seen in Liverpool's history.
When
probably.
you want goal scoring wingers, you want a striker who comes back. Like you want like a centre forward, like a Benzema type, or like Firmino that season. You don't want someone like Gyokeres.
Yeah.
And this is not to say that Gyokeres maybe won't become a good player second half of the season or next season once he feels more settled. But it does just I just found Jamie Redknapp's comments so interesting because it was true.
And that front three gets you to 3 Champions League finals in 5 years.
Yeah, that was a good front three.
I think
Yeah.
what you see is that, I know you could possibly say I'm being a little bit presumptuous here. I think that if we get through this season and win the title, you might see the manager tinker with the formation up top a little bit.
I think he has to.
Yeah,
I think he has to.
especially
Especially if you don't sign a left winger. I think so much of the future of Arsenal depends on if you sign a left winger or not. And signing like a left-footed left winger.
Like a Neto.
Yeah, someone who can
maybe
just
not him, but
like someone who sticks to that byline, is left-footed and just gets goals. Because what you can do then, you've got a left-footed winger who supplies Gyokeres, then a right-footed left winger as well, like Saka, who can get goals himself. That might be a bit more balanced. But as well, at the moment, Martinelli comes inside so much as well, so he's also taking up Gyokeres' space. Trossard, to be fair to him, does supply. He's a bit more creative, I'd say. He tries to look to. He's more even between trying to take a shot himself and trying to create. But I feel like there's no one who actually like their main job is supplying Gyokeres. Maybe apart from
and
Odegaard.
that's what City do so well, because they're able to supply Haaland like that.
because they know what the script is. They go, get the ball and put it in for him.
to the big Norwegian.
'Cause I don't know if
man
you
at
saw
the top.
that little clip. I thought that was quite interesting, actually, where Haaland said, he said, didn't he? I know he said in jest, but there's many a true word spoken in jest. He goes, now that Semenyo's
Yeah, he's trying
come
to
to
take
the
the
club,
golden boot.
I won't get as many goals because he won't pass to me. And he said that with a laugh.
That's a great example, actually.
But you know what he meant. He's thinking,
It's true
I'm
as well.
not going to score
Yeah.
as many. 'cause-
yeah, because
You see, I mean, at Bournemouth, you saw just how many shots Semenyo constantly took all the time. And it's one thing I remember saying, like, when people were talking about Semenyo under Pep Guardiola, that is a worry that some people had, where they were like, Pep might stop him from shooting. Because he's got such amazing shooting technique, Semenyo does. Like, the
Right
way
and
he
left
strikes
foot
the
as
ball,
well.
yeah.
and at
So
Bournemouth, he
even.
would have been far more encouraged to do that. Because
What,
with
he
respect
was
to
the Haaland for Bournemouth, basically. Just
Yeah.
get him the ball, even if it's out wide, he can cut in
Just
and
do
that.
anything,
I
do
think when you
something.
look at Gakpo as well, this is a problem that Liverpool fans have had as well when it comes to him cutting in. Very predictable. I think, that's why the likes of any strike, like a Ruud van Nistelrooy, or I'm trying to think of other strikers, like even Rooney. When you've got Giggs and Beckham, a left-footed left winger, I mean, who would have thought of it? Like, we need to go back to that because it's switched around. A right-footed right winger, suddenly
Whipping
you're
in
getting
balls all day.
15, 20 balls each from both sides being whipped in. You're going to score a hat full of goals. Whereas nowadays, it's like, Can't be a left-footed winger and play on the left, mate. This is 2020.
Well, look at Madwakey for Arsenal.
Yeah.
He's a left winger.
Yeah,
He likes to play on the right.
that's what one of the comments has suggested,
Yeah.
is that left-footed winger as Madueke. Maybe, but we don't no one speaks about the possibility of Madueke playing on the left wing because it's just not what was.
Well, Madwakey's actually come out and stated that he much prefers to play on the right-hand side, and that's because he likes to cut in. One thing about Madwakey, he's very good at what he does. He's kind of, and listen, I'm not putting him on that same level because he's not, but it's the similar type of play. Ian Robin.
Yeah.
You know what he's going to do.
Can't stop
but
him.
Yeah.
try stopping him doing it. That's kind of what Madwakey is. He's mastered that. He will come down the right and cut in on the
Yeah,
left.
it's not like Robin was unpredictable or anything. Like you talk about Gakpo being very predictable, but Robin just happened to be
Was very
just
predictable
completely
as well, yeah.
unstoppable. Like he was, you know what he was going to do, and there was no way of stopping
That's
it.
right.
It's the same with like
Because
Erling,
he's good.
maybe like Erling Haaland the last few seasons. It's like it's not rocket science what Man City are doing, but good luck stopping it.
Exactly.
That's why they've won. What is it? 6 titles in.
And
7
it's a
years,
bit
5
like
titles in 6
a
years.
player that we're going to come up against this weekend. Hudson-Odoi does it on the right. He will just go down the wing, use his pace and his guile, cut in, and then look to curl it in the top
But then I'd
left-hand
say
corner.
Hudson-Odoi is a little more stoppable.
Yeah, obviously. But
Maybe the best thing to do for Arteta, if you want to keep Gyokeres in and you want to kind of, I don't want to use the word force him in the 11, but if you want to keep everything continuing around him, maybe Madueke on the left is the best option. Then
But
even then
you
you
do
got
raise a
Martinelli
good
scoring a
point.
hat trick.
One of the things that Mikel Arteta will need to prove in his managerial career is to develop strikers and make them better strikers, a bit like what Pep has done. He's yet to do that with a striker yet. You could argue that Havertz is a better all-round player, but he's still not prolific.
Yeah.
Can the manager get the best out of Gyokeres to make him that player that we all hope he's going to be? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out. But also some news that came out today, which really surprised me. This is from AF Camden, who's generally quite good with Arsenal news, quite reliable. He said, before he joined Manchester City, Antoine Semenyo reached out to Arsenal, asked about a January transfer or to guarantee a summer transfer. However, the club couldn't do any guarantees for the player. Considering how clearly desperate you are from like a first choice left wing, someone who can just take that spot and make it his, because just your left wingers aren't doing that at the moment. Is that the wrong decision from
Trossard's
Arsenal?
had a good season, to be honest.
Yeah, Trossard's had a good season, but it's not like Trossard is the incredible left winger that you've been looking for. You want to buy a new left winger in the summer.
Yeah,
If
in the
Seme-
summer.
I thought, and I said this before, he was Arsenal's guy, Semenyo. Got to be also the same with Liverpool, saying he's also Liverpool's guy, I think. But in terms of who Arsenal should have been looking for, I thought it should have been Semenyo. Obviously adds that he's literally an Arsenal fan.
Yeah,
He's an Arsenal fan and he asked for the
I heard he
transfer.
was Chelsea. I've heard loads of different clubs that he supported.
He was born in Chelsea, but I don't think he was a Chelsea fan. I think he's.
I think
he's
an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I would say about that is that, listen, at the start of the season, back in the summer, it was interesting that Arsenal extended Trossard's contract. So right away, that told you that they were happy to stick with him. Whether it was
No,
because
wasn't it
couldn't
they
get-
upped his wage but didn't extend the deal? I thought his deal.
He signed a new contract.
He
You're
signed a
right.
new
They
contract,
didn't
but
extend the
I
deal.
think it's still
But to me,
2027.
that they were
whatever it is.
basically saying him, look, you got this season to show us what you got. Because
Yeah.
it was no secret that they were interested in Rodrigo, innit? But for whatever reason, Rodrigo didn't really want to come to us. So
Look,
how serious was the
Trossard's
Semenyo
decent. Like one of the comments says here, Trossard's been great for Arsenal this season. What's this guy talking about? I'm not saying that Trossard hasn't been good. I just feel like there are so many better wingers out there that will elevate Arsenal's left-hand side of attack and also just your attack in general and the way you approach games. If you have
But
someone
we
like,
had spent a lot of money this year, so it could have been down to financial constraints, because I know Liverpool spent even more than we did, but after Liverpool, we spent a lot of money on the likes of Gyokeres and Eze and what's his face, Zubamendi, and I think we bought in 8 or 9 players, Arsenal bid. So you can't buy everyone. So they probably looked at the situation for Rodrigo would have been their first choice. We then spent a lot of money on other players. How can we adjust things and make it work? And I think that contract offer that Trossard got was basically the club saying to him, "Look, okay,
you got one
another
little thing there.
season.
But
Let's see what
do
you
you
can do."
still think maybe are you all right with missing out on Semenyo? If this is to be believed and true that he wanted to go, you still all right with?
Yeah, I am all right.
Other
Yeah.
options in the future.
Yeah, I am all right.
I
Yeah.
think he's a damn good player. But there's
He
also
is a good player.
Yeah, there's
But
also
you
been
can't buy everyone.
there's been news elsewhere, obviously, maybe not the world's most reliable news, but like it's being posted a lot of places about Jurgen Klopp and Real Madrid. Because in general, the Real Madrid situation, we've covered it the last couple of days here. I am enjoying it so much. It's
I'm
like
enjoying the Madrid downfall for sure.
That's what like
Take that all day.
It's such a soap drama. You've got Jude Bellingham, who's got, I didn't even realize he's got his own app. Yeah. That he posts his own stuff on, putting out statements out there, like expletive statements saying nothing is true, and then you've got like,
what was he referring to when he said
that? He basically said nothing you're reading is true. But like it's like the people coming out and talking about this are like the Athletic and co. It's not like people who aren't like
but what are they saying? Well, enlighten me.
Basically saying that the players didn't rate Alonso when he was arguing with Vinicius Jr. and Vinicius Jr. didn't apologise. They saw it as weakness. They were bored with the tactics, didn't want to do gym work. They just wanted to like play football and they wanted to keep it basic, keep it simple. Apparently here to like beg them and force them to do work in the gym.
That sounds like that's coming from Alonso's camp.
Well, there was that other story as well with the nutritionist, wasn't there? The girl who worked
this
there.
is what makes me think it's. I don't know if you know.
So
about
why are they
this.
singling out
Like a bit of a
Bellingham?
miss.
Are they saying that he's one of the main?
So basically,
agitators behind the
it was
scene?
like there was certain camp of players who were not
it
pro
was
Alonso.
Vinny,
Bellingham,
Rodrigo, and Bellingham that didn't like Alonso allegedly.
Allegedly,
But
they were
everyone
like
else
the
loved him
anti-Alonso.
apparently. But they were and obviously they're three. Would you say three biggest names in the team?
Well, we know that Vinny didn't get on with him. That was obvious.
Well, we know Rodrigo
Yeah.
didn't as well because of the times that he dropped him in the summer. He was supposed to go to Arsenal the whole summer.
But why are they putting Bellingham in there with that?
Well, that's just what the reports have
Because
been saying.
Bellingham
Is that
gets on
Bellingham
well with
wasn't.
Vinny, they automatically assume that.
Well, that's just what the report said. But you presume that because of Xabi Alonso's career, midfielder, like
Real Madrid legend,
fantastic
pretty much
footballer, Liverpool legend, Real Madrid legend, you'd assume that Bellingham would go, what a great opportunity this is to get a bit of nous from the main fella. Like, this is someone I grew up watching play. But if you believe the reports or you don't, it's totally up to you. Whether they're true or not, we don't know. But the reports say that those three in particular didn't buy into. And again, you see it with it was actually, it's horrible to watch. Alonso's trying to get everyone in the guard of honour, which is obviously a great show of sportsmanship. And Mbappe,
have you seen the video?
Get that guard of
Seen the
honour,
video?
man. Let's go. And he's like, you can't undermine. And if I was Alonso, I'd be saying like, listen, he's going to get a nice payoff. Like he's going to be looked after that way. But I'd be absolutely angry if I was the manager and someone undermined me like that.
But you say that, Alex, but I'm going to pull your card on this now. But you say all that, which is true. But weren't you the same person that criticised Mo Salah for airing out his dirty laundry in public? But then you're
100%.
quite happy to have him back in the team now. So, and he's not apologised, has he? Mo Salah didn't apologise.
Two separate situations. Mo Salah won't apologise, and I can still be...
But he should do.
He should do, but he won't. So you have to just live with that. His way of apologising will be, if I score a hat-trick on the weekend, you'll love me again. That's his... Football fans are very
Maybe
fickle.
that's what Mbappe's thinking when he undermines the manager in public like that.
Yeah, I mean, Salah did undermine the manager in public. He did undermine the club in public. And there's almost no... If he wasn't Mo Salah, he'd be out, mate. But because... they used to say about how Fergie used to treat Cantona. He'd turn up late, he'd have one boot on, tying his shoes up as everyone's running around the pitch. What about him? I get fined when I'm late. What about him? Yeah, but he scores 2 goals every Saturday. So there's leniency towards certain players.
I
But
think
for
it's the
me,
same
to do that
Hazard
to the
as well,
manager
apparently.
on the pitch in front of everyone,
It wasn't good.
that's like
It wasn't
Mbappe.
good.
That's shocking for Mbappe.
But then look, even the other day, I'm not sure if you saw the AFCON game with Osimhen, the way he was carrying on. And everyone said that the manager should drop him for the next game. Did he
Is that when
help?
he was arguing with Lookman?
Yeah, and then the next game Nigeria played, not only did Osimhen play, but he actually played really well.
Yeah.
Scored a couple of goals. And they were, oh yeah, but Osimhen, it's the passion. He's a winner. He's a bit of a whatever.
Yeah.
But because he's such a good player and he's so important to the team, he gets away with it. Same thing with Salah, same thing with Mbappe, same thing with Vinny Jr. It's only when these players start to drop a little bit. So, for example, I'm going to reference Arsenal now. When Aubameyang was doing his bit and scoring, no one was ever bothered about timekeeping. As soon as the levels dropped, though,
But
all of a sudden it was, he's indisciplined, he's turning up late, we need to get rid of him, he's a bad egg. That's how this works.
I feel like there's such a major difference between some of the maybe other stuff you're referring, or like the stuff you're referring to with Cantona. Then there's the like then blatant disrespect.
Yeah.
There's that. Then there's like flat out going, nah, screw that guy. What, the manager? I'm going to play
That's
anyway.
not a professional.
It's
That's
so
not what a
like,
football
and
professional
also I
does.
refuse to believe that none of these reports are true. Your manager doesn't want to leave and get sacked within 6 months of
But the
joining
reports-
with like a 70% win rate
Yeah. He
without
lost 5
some of
games,
this being true.
yeah. When you
Yeah.
look at the reports and then you watch that video next to it,
No, I don't doubt that there's issues there. But then what I would say about Real Madrid, it's always been a bit of a basket case club like that. And one of the reasons why it's like that is because they always go for these Galacticos. Remember when Luis Enrique took over at PSG? One of the things he
got rid of
made,
all of them.
yeah, he said, right, we're starting afresh. I'm the boss. We're getting rid of Mbappe
Mm-hmm.
and all them other men that think they're above the club. And look what they did.
You need
But you have
such
to be
a
brave enough as a club to say, you know what?
you need such a uniquely strong personality as a
Yes.
manager to do it.
And the board need to back you as
Ancelotti,
well.
Zidane, like these guys were so uniquely able to deal with that kind of stuff. But also as well, apparently Perez was on the players' side. Apparently the players complained to Perez and Perez went, yeah, fair. When realistically,
Because he's stuck by the stardom of these players, isn't he?
yeah,
Stuck
which
by the
and
stardom.
that is what completely pulled the rug up from Alonso. I bet that would have been a big reason for Alonso deciding as well. He's going, you know what? No, we've got to end this.
and there was this Klopp quote, and I'm sure we'll get onto it, but he, again, I don't know how true this is, but he said, allegedly, Alonso leaving doesn't necessarily sum up his acumen as a football manager. It more sums up the mess going on behind the scenes at the club.
Yeah, so I've got the exact thing here. It's so Klopp said, so just obviously with the whole Klopp stuff, Florian Plettenberg said that Klopp is seriously considering a return as a head coach should Madrid make a concrete move for him this summer, as exclusively revealed. But and then Jurgen Klopp came out on Red Bull-owned telly, and he said, if Xabi Alonso, who over the last 2 years in Leverkusen has shown what an outstanding coaching talent he is, I think at his age, with the number of jobs he's had, you can say that, it is then forced to leave Madrid just 6 months later, it shows a few things. On the one hand, it shows that nowadays there's no time anymore. On the other hand, the expectations at Real Madrid are obviously enormous. To make a decision like that in the heat of the moment after losing cup final to Barcelona yesterday says a lot. I think we've already been hearing rumours for a while. And he basically he went on to basically just say, look, clearly something's not right there.
Yeah.
And there is something.
And
And
it's
like
true.
I said, when you go for these Galactico star players, that is what you're taking on. You're taking on players with large egos. They think they're bigger than the club. We spoke about Salah at Liverpool, but he's by no means the only one. What the antidote to that is something like what Arteta did. So when he took over, again, you've got to have the support of the board and the patience.
Yeah, that's what Alonso
He
didn't
built
have, and
it
it's
from the ground
ruined
up.
everything
So
for him.
he's a ideal prototype player. So young players, good players, but they're not going to be confrontational towards the man. So if you look at some of the characters within Arsenal, the likes of your Saka and people like that, they're not going to be guys that are going to go into the dressing room and demand that I play, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. They're guys that Arteta's going to feel that he can control them reasonably well, and that's how you do it. Whereas if you get these Galactico guys in, you can't drop them, you can't tell them what to do, you can't tell them how to train.
This thing is, and I think what was damning for me was when the news broke, we then brought Raul on. He literally joined us through a video call afterwards. I said to him, "Who do you want managing Real Madrid?" And he was like, "I have no idea." He was like,
He's
"I
been asking
genuinely
for Klopp
don't
for years,
know."
though.
Well, actually, Klopp was a name he mentioned, but I think that's just,
not
that
realistic.
won't happen because I've got a feeling that he'll be waiting for Germany.
Yeah.
Nagelsmann will go back to club football in the summer. But I think a host of the current national team managers will go back to club football. You think Pochettino,
Whereas Klopp will do the
etc. Klopp, I think, will then
other
go
way
to
around.
national team, which is why he's been chilling with Red Bull for a while. Because he said he doesn't mind standing and watching the circus from the outside. He said generally with managers, he was like, I don't mind just looking at it from the outside and watching it. It's not the worst place to be, which I agree with. But yeah, Raul is the fact that Raul was so, obviously we all know how
Real
passionate he
Madrid.
is. Yeah, and he was like, I
He
don't know
doesn't
who I want
know.
to manage us.
I mean, there
He
isn't
said
a
Zidane.
plethora of people out there. You go back to the Zidanes, you go back to the Ancelottis, they've come in and done a job. But I think he's looking around going, there isn't really a name that stands out to me as a Real Madrid manager that has the acumen.
Arbeloa?
Well, definitely not him. I mean, listen,
You
obviously,
see they lost the other
Yeah, I
day,
did.
yesterday.
Albacete in the last minute. I mean,
17th
for
in
your first
Division
game,
2.
you're expecting a bit of a bounce. I mean, if Alonso was in charge, would they have lost that game? I don't know. No one will ever know. But for me, I think Raul's spot on. There isn't a manager that jumps out of the page apart from the tried and tested ones that he's already worked
Like
with.
Zidane, for example.
Like Zidane.
And if you're doing that, I really think it shows us something wrong. Zidane was there, won load of Champions Leagues and everything, left, decided to leave. I think he went back for a bit and then left again. What, are they going to get him again? It's the same. It's the same.
Just do that every time.
Yeah, you can't just do that. It's the same. It's the argument that people had when we were linked back with Solskjaer. And I know
Yeah.
I was one saying I wouldn't mind Solskjaer coming back on an interim.
But he's not your ideal number
But no,
one.
yeah, but he's
you
obviously
pick from-
that's not long term. That's a different thing. But like one of the big reasons United went with Carrick in the end because they were like, we can't be seen to be going back to something that kind of worked previously. You can't go back to Zidane. They've gone back to Ancelotti again. Like Ancelotti was there, left, went back. Zidane was there, left, went back, left, went back. Like you can't keep doing it because you're going to run out of people.
Yeah.
So I do think Real Madrid is it's a bubble that's going to.
There's one name that does stand out to me, but I'm not sure if he'd go there. Luis
Who?
Enrique.
No, you
He's a
can't do
Barca
that.
man.
Can't do
He's a
that,
Barca.
yeah.
Yeah, he's
Exactly,
Barca
so
through and
he
through.
wouldn't do that, yeah.
I mean, if anything, in terms of like how the club,
I actually
how
think
the
Tuchel
club's
would be all right
morals
there.
and how the club's foundations align, Barca would be the better fit for Klopp, not Madrid.
I agree.
You know, Madrid. He's had Klopp has openly spoken about. He had an interview at Manchester United, sat there and went, "This doesn't feel right." Went to Liverpool. You could argue at that time United were the biggest, most successful club. He got Liverpool back to being the most successful club and then left. I would compare Real Madrid and Man United, and then I'd say Barca and Liverpool. This if you were to compare like similarities. But that's not going to happen. Klopp, there's no way, after everything Klopp has been through with Madrid, the 2 Champions League finals that he's lost to them, in the way that he's lost, he would never go to Real Madrid. Never.
Did Raul say Jose Mourinho? So it's just one of the comments.
This is how desperate
mentioned-
Raul is, though, isn't it? He's
Yeah,
just naming
now
names
they've
now.
mentioned it. Yes, Raul also mentioned Jose Mourinho.
Well, Mourinho was at Madrid as well, and that didn't go
exactly.
to plan. But I think if I was a Madrid fan,
Sounds like a job for
handpick
Wilfred
someone-
Nancy to me.
Yeah.
I actually
definitely
think
not, yeah.
Tuchel might do alright at Real Madrid.
I could see that.
I can see Thomas Tuchel.
I think
being
he'd
someone-
fall out with all the players after about 6 months.
No,
though.
but I reckon he'd rip half of them out before he fell out with them.
But how there isn't a manager out there right now, even Tuchel, I know he's won the Champions League, but even think of any top manager right now going into that change room, going up to Vinny and say, listen here, you think you've got player power, I'm the manager, I'm the boss.
You know the one person that might
Mbappe?
be able to do that though?
Who?
Zidane.
But
because
then
Yeah,
he's
but
a
you
back
can't go
to-
back to him a third time.
Yeah, but they might do.
Can't
It's
go back
Real
to your ex
Madrid.
again.
Zidane going to France after Deschamps leaves the World Cup.
There's rumours of that, yeah.
There isn't many, if any, managers out
He's
there
one of the
that
few guys
get
that I
out
can
of them.
name that would command that level of respect. He could go to Vinny Jr. and say, listen, man,
Okay,
Yeah.
one name. Who else?
I'm struggling, to be honest.
One of the comments is saying Dylan Enrique was a Madrid player.
Lewis.
He was at Real Madrid a little bit, yeah. 157
Yeah, no,
appearances.
he was
But like
obviously
he,
a Barcelona
but he
manager,
was
played
at
a long
Barcelona. Yeah,
time
he
for
was at Barcelona longer, and he was the manager. That's what I mean when I say he's a Barcelona boy.
Yeah.
Because like it was
like
easy.
Arteta, when it comes
Boy
to
may be the
Madrid
wrong
to
word, but he's a
Barca.
Barcelona guy.
Arteta is a Barca guy.
Yeah,
you know,
Cesc Fabregas as well.
Fabregas is a Barca guy.
You
Alonso
won't see
obviously
Arteta
showed
managing
himself.
Real Madrid
No.
or
He
anything.
did play for Madrid, though. I've just
Did.
checked.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
I
and
checked, but what I mean in terms of like because he won the treble with Barcelona, he won 6. That was arguably one of the best seasons any manager's had ever in history. Was Enrique's treble-winning season. They won
But
6
the reason
trophies.
why I suggested him,
Yeah, with the MSN scoring 100 and whatever goals, 6 trophies, treble,
And he did the same at PSG.
and he went and did the same for
and the
PSG.
reason why
I think he's one of the
suggested
best
him is that
managers around.
Apparently, when he went in there, that was his premise. I'm going to root out all these men, and then we're going to start again and build from the ground
And
up.
you've seen
That's what
he
Madrid
did.
need.
You've both seen the famous clip, haven't you, of Enrique sitting down with Mbappe at
Yeah, I
PSG,
have, yeah,
haven't you?
yeah,
And he goes,
yeah.
"You like Michael Jordan, yeah?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, Michael Jordan obviously scores the most points. He's the star, the MVP, but he gets back and defends like a MFR
Yeah.
for his team. Yes, you're the best at scoring goals. I'm not worried about that. You'll do that. I don't even need to teach you how to do that. You already know better than me. But get back and help your team." And Mbappe was so silent in that interaction, and I really like the personable, the management
management.
skills of Enrique. I think obviously he's had his own troubles.
Because they do say there are managers
Yeah.
that struggle
He's
with
brilliant.
big name players. So, for example, an obvious example to that would be Unai Emery. Apparently, when he rocked up at PSG, he found it a basket case. He couldn't handle it because there were several players there that were just.
But also,
he's
think-
used to work in a certain way, and these
With
men
a
were
limited
almost
squad.
yeah,
or,
openly defiant of him. And he thought, what?
Yeah.
So he got the hell out of there. But And I think that someone like Arteta would struggle with that as well. He doesn't like confrontation. Arteta likes younger guys who are going to be like totally clued in.
Yes men. He likes yes men.
In a way, yeah.
Yes men, but
Do what I
also
say.
but good yes men. Like Declan
Yeah.
Rice.
Yes.
Declan Rice will do exactly what Arteta says. No
Exactly.
matter. Play right back, sure. Play
Model
AM,
pros.
sure.
Model
On free
pros.
kicks, sure. Like,
But you also he's building this.
It's not
kind of-
bad quality to have
I
as a
wouldn't call
player.
it a cult, but he's building this ethos within the squad, which is like, if you're in this team, I'm talking about Arsenal. If you're in this team, do exactly what I tell you to do.
Exactly.
And if you do that, he does it. These guys do it. These guys, then we'll win the league. If we all just do what I tell you to do. But it's up here. He's obviously fallen out with, Aubameyang in the past, and he's had, big, like you say, head-to-head confrontations with big players. And I actually think Arteta's come out on top in those confrontations. He's shown, he's ruled the iron fist, and he's like,
And you know why that is
you're
as
not
well?
going to do this for me. Off you go.
And you know why he's been able to do that so successfully is because the board have backed him.
Yeah.
They've said, look, what, is he causing you trouble?
Yeah.
Right, okay. He's
But I
out.
have to say, Fiorentino Perez, if the reports are true, backing Rodrigo, Vinny, and Jude is actually. If I was Alonso, I'd never step foot in that club again. No, seriously.
I agree. I agree completely.
Player power has gone to this level now where if someone like an Mbappe struts round, listen, Mbappe is one of the best footballers I've ever seen. But you can't strut round thinking you're bigger than. That's why Liverpool fans were so offended, and rightly so, with what Mo Salah said.
Yeah.
You think you're bigger than us. The badge here is bigger than your name on the back will ever be. So buck your ideas up.
That's why Roy Keane left. Roy Keane did an interview basically kind of bashing the club a bit and Sir Alex Ferguson. He got...
You seen what he said today, Roy Keane, about Johnny Evans' wife?
No.
No, Michael Carrick's wife.
What's said about Michael Carrick's wife?
Maybe 10 years ago, I think Roy Keane was very critical of Michael Carrick on Sky or whatever. And Michael Carrick's wife came out and called him a load of expletives. And in the overlap today, I need to watch the full thing, but I've seen the clip, and it's like, there's Wilcox, Woodgate, Johnny Evans, and the other coach.
Well, no, Wilcox is our DOF. We got Johnny Evans,
Holland,
Woodgate,
Steve
Holland,
Holland.
Steve
That's
Holland.
And then obviously Carrick. So you got
Carrick.
four. You got the manager and three coaches. He was saying, yeah, Steve Holland, like he's got a respectable career. He's obviously done well for England. He's been a part of some Premier League winning squads. And he's going, but what's John Woodgate and Johnny Evans ever done to deserve a coaching role at United? And then Neville's trying to like defend him, and then he says, and what's Carrick ever
Travis
done?
Binion as well.
And he said,
He's
I'm
got a
sure his
21
missus has
spots.
got something to say. She's got a big mouth on her, and he was bro, look it up.
Wow.
Roy Keane on Michael Carrick's
Roy,
wife.
you know Roy Keane he's so anti-United.
But if you're Carrick, bro, yeah, and you go home and your missus goes, seen this
You can
what
let him
Roy,
talk to me
Roy
like
Keane's
that,
been
yeah.
saying about me, and you go, yeah, it's just what he's like. You're not going to stick up for me? Nah, probably not. It's Roy Keane. I can't believe he said that about his wife. Do you remember when Benitez and Mourinho obviously had a big rivalry? I think Benitez's
Yeah, I remember
wife
Mourinho
said,
said, yeah.
"Oh, wherever we go, it's to clean up Mourinho's mess. We go to Chelsea, we go to Inter Milan, and blah blah blah." And Mourinho come out and said, "Well, actually, that's not true because I won trophies in all the seasons that I left. And if she does want to say something, maybe she should tell her husband to lose a bit of weight and sort his diet out." When you start going for wives and stuff, bro, it's,
personal.
Roy
personal.
Keane for United. Roy Keane is just becoming such a problem.
do you reckon?
I-
Like
I-
inside the changing room?
I think to a certain, not necessarily inside the changing room, but just like I think he has such an influence on the, like indirectly maybe because he's got such an influence on fans who watch the overlap every week, watch Sky every week. Roy Keane is everywhere.
He's got
pretty
cult
much.
status.
He's got such cult status that he'll probably be doing that, and then people are going to be looking at Michael Carrick in a different light because what Roy Keane said was funny. He never offers anything constructive.
just
When
criticism, isn't
we're under the cosh, he's gone on big rants about Bruno Fernandes and how he's not, even though Bruno Fernandes has been probably our best player in a decade, he's going big rants
Pogba
about this
as
and
well, he used to
that. Going
go
off on
big on Pogba.
Pogba, never offers any sort of like tactical insight or anything.
But do you know what?
And he's a Spurs fan. And all he ever talks about is United.
Do you know what? This reminds me of, I was watching a podcast yesterday and it was talking about when Glenn Hoddle was the manager at Chelsea, I think. You know, in the late 90s, he was briefly at Chelsea. And he'd say to the player, it was Frank Sinclair. I was watching a great interview, you should watch it, 'cause he talks a lot about Jamaica. He had 30 caps for Jamaica,
Yeah, he
played
did,
98.
yeah, he did.
And he said, the problem with Glenn Hoddle is, when a footballer is so good as a footballer, and then they go to a manager, and then in training they're like, right, I want you to chest it, ping it 40 yards, and then on your chest volley it into the top corner. Anyone want to go?
No.
All right, I'll go first. I'll show you how it's done. So Glenn Hoddle does it, smacks it in the top corner, and goes, there you go, do that. And they go, but we're not as good as you. We can't do that. And then Glenn Hoddle gets frustrated at them for not being able to do it. Reminds me of Roy Keane. It's like he was the ultimate standards man. You're never late. You're always on time. You die in training for the team. You go and get 3 points. You cover every single blade of grass as a bare minimum. When Fergie used to praise Roy Keane for his performance at Juventus in '99, Roy Keane got offended by the praise. He's like, but I'm doing my job. So when his standards are here, even as a manager, even as a player, and you're seeing standards of your old club that you were the captain of, and your standards were here when you were there, the standards are here, you're going, it's very easy to criticise that. There's no
Just picking up on that
constructiveness
story
of it.
you told about Hoddle, I heard one that's very similar when Hoddle was England manager, and apparently dissed David Beckham. They was doing some drill in training, and he performed it, and then he passed the ball to David Beckham, said, yeah, you go, and he couldn't do it, and apparently him and Beckham had a little bit of a
But
rift.
who does that help, though?
No one.
It's
Like,
just
it's
ego.
an
That's what I mean.
ego.
Roy
It's
Keane,
an ego
he doesn't,
thing.
He doesn't
Yeah.
like. I know, he gets views, right? Roy Keane, he's so because on the overlap when he's actually not talking about football, I think he's very funny. Roy
Yeah,
Keane.
he's great.
Like,
I love Roy Keane. I think he's hilarious to watch.
He's very
on face
dry,
value.
very funny. But then when he's talking about United, it infuriates me because it helps him. So
Well, he was a manager himself. He didn't
the thing
do that
is,
well.
Dilly,
At Sunderland, did he?
He'll say all that stuff, very critical, blah blah blah, and then there's United fans going, "Get him in.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
knows the standards. He should know what
And
to
I
do.
think
He
like
can
so
turn this
a
around."
huge example of something which really irritated me a few months ago was, do you guys know Marcel,
Yes.
who comes
Yeah.
in United View? And do you remember when Šeško had to come off with injury against Spurs? I don't know if you remember this. He had come off with injury against Spurs.
Yeah.
So we had already made all our subs, and then Šeško got told to come off. Marcel basically went, that proves that Šeško's never going to make it. Because Roy Keane, he literally said, Roy Keane would have stayed on. So he sat there, and the medical team were like, your knee's done. He was out for 6 to 8 weeks. Medical team were like, your knee is done. You need to come off this pitch now, even if it's playing with 10 men. And you have United fans going, no, he should have stayed on the pitch.
Different eras though as well.
It's different eras, and Gary Neville, Roy Keane, they apply what they had before to now, and it doesn't work. Gary Neville at Valencia, he was as bad as Amram was at United, but like it's just.
Amram was worse than Valencia.
I think it actually might have ended up being worse. Yeah, in terms of win rate and everything.
Talking of that, there's a film coming out next month about Roy Keane
I
that
can't
covers
wait
that
to
whole
watch it.
thing with him
Saipan.
falling out with Mick McCarthy
Mick
and walking
McCarthy.
out of the
That should be
That's
fantastic.
actually.
I'm going to watch that for sure.
It comes out on the 26th, but it comes out in Ireland on the 23rd. I
Maybe
think.
when you go see it, let me know. I'll come with you and watch it.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see it
Yeah.
because I remember that story like as a kid.
Oh, I remember that well.
Like, I remember watching the news. You're seeing Roy Keane walking his dog, cameras following, and when I talk about standards, like again the same podcast that I watched the Frank Sinclair one on, Mick McCarthy was on it, and they said, "You got any regrets about what happened?" And he went, "I would have picked another fucking pitch," because that's what it was about. It was Keane going, "Where's the footballs there? Where's the sandwich? You're giving us sandwiches. We need salmon, potatoes." And he had this standards; they had to be so high. But he's
I think
a winner,
also,
mate.
I
He's
think
a
he was
winner.
complaining about the plane. So apparently, what happened was in the
He had
island.
no training kit as well.
Yeah, there was that. But when they travel on these long distance flights,
Just a normal flight.
the players were flying economy.
Yeah.
And some of the officials were flying in the first time.
Yeah, that's it.
Apparently, Roy Keane got quite rightly pretty
Quite
upset
right,
about that.
but it was the kits, it was the
Yeah.
food, the training quality, the
The
you
whole
can
structure was,
if a player, right, let's say a 6'4" striker is Niall Quinn.
Yeah.
There you go. He was a 6'4" striker for Ireland. If he's on that plane in economy, you could get an injury.
Yeah,
If
easy.
you're not laid out, like
Yeah,
long
yeah.
flight that from Dublin
Yeah.
to Saipan, let me tell you, not that I've done it, it's probably about a 15-hour flight, but you can get injuries from that stuff. So it's about standards.
It is
it's about taking
and
it
picking up
seriously.
on that just very briefly as well. I remember, I'll never forget reading a book. I don't know if you guys follow rugby. Clive Woodward, he's talking about when he took over the England rugby squad.
Won the
Yeah.
World Cup, didn't he?
Yeah, and he said about what he calls the non-critical essentials that are essential. So little things that we might not think about.
Yeah.
You need to get those right in order for those little bits are so important. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, no, it's true. And just before we wrap up as well, I want to do so, obviously sponsored by Rocket Mobile. You got your deal, unlimited data, calls, text, 20 gigs in the EU if you go travelling, £16
just
a
the
month,
EU?
everything EU. 20 gigs of data in the EU. Yep. And it's £16 a month, fantastic deal, rolling contract, all of that. So do get in there below, in the comments below for the link. But what we do as well is Rocket Ranked. So Rocket presents Ranked. We're going to rank some stuff. And what I saw today, which I didn't even realise was on the cards, was a player that just slipped my mind completely. Facundo Buonanotte. Do you remember the guy who signed for Chelsea? He signed for Leeds. Today. And I'm
loan and signed for Leeds.
And I'm
Good
and I
signing,
was sat there. It's a good signing, but I was sat there thinking, how useless was that Chelsea transfer? So I want to actually have a bit of a chat about what do you guys think have been the most useless, the top three, maybe most useless transfers that we've seen. Either it can be this summer or in the last few seasons. And the comments also get it below, because I think Buonanotte to Chelsea when he did my dream of playing in the Champions League, and then they left him out the Champions League squad. He played 45 minutes in the Premier League and cancelled it. Chelsea made a lot of useless transfers in the last couple of seasons.
They take the crown for that, I think.
Yeah, but I think that's got to be one of the few. But as well, like, you guys in the comments, let me know about what has been, do you think, seeing some of the most useless transfers we've seen?
I've got an old one.
Yeah?
Sorry. El Hadji Diouf. And this is bad.
It's good for fun factor.
On a few levels, it's bad, because the first level is never buy a player straight after a decent World Cup / Euros. He had a good, I won't say amazing, he had a decent World Cup 2002, got to the quarterfinals with Senegal, obviously beat France. He scored the goal, I think it was him. Might have been Diop, actually, who scored the goal. But at the time, Liverpool in January 2002 signed Nicolas Anelka on loan from Real Madrid. I think he scored 7 or 8 goals in 15 games. The talk was at the time Anelka, Owen, Heskey with Gerrard behind them. Some options you've got there. Obviously, the World Cup happens. Between Gerard Houllier and Phil Thompson, they decide to spend £10 million, which at the time in 2002 is a lot of money for a striker, on El Hadji Diouf, instead of going back in for Nicolas Anelka, who then goes to PSG, I think, after that, and tears it up. That signing right there, in my lifetime, 32 in 2 days, that is the most... there's been bigger wastes of money. We've bought Andy Carroll, we've bought Darwin Núñez, you could even argue, but for me, that was the most un-Liverpool-like signing I've seen, and it just didn't work. He ended up spitting at some fans at Celtic away, got banned, got a couple... He scored on his debut, so we're thinking, oh, here we go. But to choose Diouf over Anelka when he was already proven at that point is actually criminal. And I love Gerard Houllier. He gave me my first glimpse of what it feels like to be a successful football fan, and Phil Thompson, but I'll never forgive them for that.
I've got one for you.
Yeah.
Might be a bit before your time, though. Certainly before your time. Do you remember a guy called Thomas Brolin, played for Sweden? I think they got third place in the World Cup in 1994.
Right.
And off the back of that, he got a move to Leeds, I think it was, and he was a total flop. Ended up putting on a load of weight, and he became a bit of a joke. But
He's up there.
People out there that are my age
another
will
one of the
remember
comments.
Thomas Brolin.
Always gone. Uncle Bun Apostrophes mentioned Arthur Mello.
I mean, he probably take 13 minutes. He played for Liverpool.
Wow.
13, and we lost 4-1 to Napoli in that game away. Yeah.
What about the guy that Graham Souness bought?
Ali Dia, Southampton.
He thought he was George Weah's cousin.
They said, "Oh yeah, I'm George Weah's cousin." He's like, "Oh sweet, you can play." Hang on, has anyone checked his
Is that true? Is that story actually true? Because I've heard it so many times.
Folklore, 100% true.
He said, "I'm of George Weah's cousin."
So some of the comments also, as well as saying, they've said Sancho. I'm thinking, which one?
Yeah, could be
Which
Villa,
Sancho move?
Chelsea, United.
Yeah.
So I just checked Sancho's stats. He's played 732 minutes for Villa across 18 appearances and got no goals or assists. And he's still on 350 grand a week.
Poor. Useless signings. Arthur Mello, I think he tops it, to be honest. 13 minutes.
Arthur Mello up 100% up there. Ali Dia, someone's Ali Dia. Lukaku to Chelsea. That is
second time.
Yeah, the second time round. Yeah.
I don't think so, because he started off really well.
He started well, and then
he absolutely ragdolled Pablo Mari at Arsenal. Was it 2-3-0 opening day
a
of
lot
the
of people
season?
ragdoll Pablo Mari.
He's just got moved to Saudi, so he's laughing now. Yeah. But I wouldn't say Lukaku. I think he still gets you 20 goals, even.
I think, the problem with, as I understand it, with Lukaku is that even whilst he was at Chelsea, he was agitating for a move elsewhere.
Yeah, didn't so
And then
though
he got
obviously
caught
so
out, didn't he?
because we sold him to Inter for about 70 odd mil. Chelsea then bought him for about 85 from Inter. He then joined, and then within 3 months said he wanted to go back to the Serie A, or said he loved his time in the Serie A, and then went back there. And I think he went back on loan to Inter, didn't he? And then
And there were
now he's at
messages
Napoli.
where apparently he was saying, "Get me out of here," basically.
Yeah,
Saying that, yeah.
a few
So
months
that was-
after
what
agreeing, he
about-
moved back to Chelsea.
Sanchez to United.
Yeah, that was I don't think that was useless. That was destructive.
He
That
said
was
to
such
his
a-
agent after day one
Yeah,
of
that he wanted to
training,
go back.
can I go back to Arsenal?
Yeah, I heard
And
that.
I remember
Mind
what,
you, we owed you one for that after the stuff you pulled with.
what Van Persie.
Yeah.
Well, you
so we
did
owed
give
you
the
that.
But then we
Mkhitaryan,
gave you
so-
Mkhitaryan.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
right.
remember Mkhitaryan had a great debut. He got 3 assists against Everton and then disappeared. He
Yeah,
disappeared.
that was
He's
because
got that mad
when
goal
you
for
watch
United.
Mkhitaryan,
Yeah, the-
I remember
yeah.
watching a few times at the Emirates. You thought, what a player this guy, Rolls Royce, and then he just faded, man.
But this is,
Faded
that was
quickly.
the issue that I had
Skoda.
with him at Chelsea when we signed. So we signed him from Dortmund about 35 million off the back of a 20 goal, 22 assist season. Like his season there, like,
Was that under Klopp?
I think it was. Yeah, it was under Klopp, and he had
Remember
an
when
absolutely
Klopp had
stunning season.
Lewandowski, Götze,
Royce,
Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan.
Klopp gets the most out of his
Blaszczykowski,
strikers.
what a
Yeah.
player he was. But you know that Dortmund team, like where they, I think went to. You can say
Champions
Shevchenko
League
to
final.
Chelsea. That's another good one. Shevchenko to Chelsea.
That was a howler. 30 mil, barely did anything for Chelsea. And actually, when he moved to Chelsea in 2006, pretty sure it was 2006. Yeah, it was.
Danny Drinkwater to Chelsea as well
He
as a
was
more recent one.
probably, pound for pound. Bear in mind, he just won Champions League with AC Milan. He obviously missed the winning penalty, the one that we won in Istanbul. Pound for pound, he was. I mean, I was shook when Chelsea bought Shevchenko. I was shook, but awful signing.
But what about also to Chelsea, your guy,
Torres.
Torres? I remember the
50 mil.
fanfare that was.
Do you know what? It's such a weird one with that one
'Cause he was-
because he was on. He'd passed the peak. He'd gone over the hill for Liverpool. Balotelli's up there as well. What a shocking one that was. But Torres had passed his peak at Liverpool. So to get 50 mil, he's not as quick anymore. He doesn't score any goals.
And but 50
as
mil
many
at the
goals.
time as well.
50 mil at the time. Take that. Trust me, take that. I don't. And listen, I hate Chelsea more than most fans, but when you look at his time at Chelsea, yes, on paper it took him 15 games to score a goal in the Prem. He leaves Chelsea with a Champions League, where he scores a crucial goal to get them to the final. He leaves with the Europa League final. He scored the winner, and he beats Liverpool in an FA Cup. So yes, he was a flop, but those 3 trophies, plus the Euros, plus the World Cup that he won everything in the game.
Yeah, Bebe to
So
Man
yes,
U,
he
that's
was a
another
flop
one.
at Chelsea, but the trophies say otherwise.
Yeah, because it's hard to categorise that as a useless transfer because he had no like. So a lot of the chat are also saying Anthony. I wouldn't. That was a terrible
I think
transfer.
Sancho might be the worst one for United though,
So
because
I-
of the time that you chased him for.
I reckon Sancho, pound for pound, is our worst transfer.
What about
ever.
the other guy from Brazil, though?
Anthony.
Anthony.
Well, but things with
To
Anthony.
me, I reckon that one's worse. How much did you pay for him?
85,
Wow.
86. But Sancho was also 75.
No,
And, but
Anthony was
Anthony
arguably
as well. No,
worse.
Anthony scored more goals. Than
Anthony
Sancho, though.
also he scored more goals. He played a lot, and he was still important to some of our wins. He was in a team that won a couple trophies with Eric Ten Hag. He then left. He was terrible. He then left, went to Betis, and we also recouped a decent amount of cash for him. I think it's like
You would've
20
wanted a
million at
lot
the
more,
moment
though.
plus 50% of what they sell. Huh?
You'd want a lot more money than you've not.
Yeah, so
recouped
it's a
at all.
terrible
It's a big
transfer.
loss.
But Jadon Sancho as well, it's not just the 73 million we paid for him, it's also the 350k a week for 5 years. So the
And
amount of
it's
money
the
that
2
he's
years
cost
that you
us
chased him
for the
for.
nothing. We chased him for 18 months. Well, yeah, about 2 years. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer chased him. And it was, so Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went to our board and went, I want Sancho, Bellingham,
Haaland.
Rice and Haaland. And we can give you Sancho.
We'll get a Weghorst as well for you.
And then,
Don't worry.
but Weghorst, unironically, was actually quite good for the 6 months he had for us.
Agallo. You got Agallo for a bit.
We had a Garlo for it. That was kind of useless. But that was also kind of fun.
That was a weird signing.
That was fully just we basically just
Emergency, it was an
loaned a
emergency.
fan.
Yeah.
We loaned a fan for 18 months, and he scored about 7 or 8 goals for us. Yeah, he's got like 7 or 8 goals for us, including a couple of big ones in the Europa League.
In Nigeria.
But I wouldn't say Anthony was a useless transfer, terrible transfer. But I think Sancho is pound for pound our worst ever.
I think as well with Sancho is his attitude, and he's clearly not.
And like also the amount that we did
Wasn't
for
he
him.
the one chasing some
Yeah,
Instagram girl?
Sweetie. Yeah,
That's all you need to say.
the client. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
What a way to end the show.
Nicolas Pepe, would you count that as a useless
No,
transfer?
I mean,
no.
He
no,
scored
he
16
he
in his first season.
underperformed, but he wasn't at the level of Sancho's and
Yeah.
Anthony's.
So are we putting, if we have a top 3,
Sancho.
Sancho top,
Sancho.
Arthur maybe up
Arthur
there as
Melo.
well, Arthur Melo, and
That's in recent times, but I would advise some of our
Alexis
viewers,
Sanchez
go,
maybe,
go
one
and
of the
examine the career of Thomas Brolin at Leeds.
Oh,
and
we'll
you'll
check
see.
it
will
out,
do.
man.
But apart from that, I think that's a good show. Interesting,
good.
some,
Flown
some
by.
deeper good topics. That was very good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously, my name is Dylan. We're here live at 5 every weekday. I'll be back tomorrow to look through some of the weekend's game, obviously leading up to the Manchester derby at 12:30 kickoff, and all the other games. Apart from that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Let's go. What do you do with yours? I do unlimited football content.
Well, I do unlimited bragging.
Well, I do unlimited swiping right.
Well, I do unlimited doom scrolling.
Well, I do unlimited sliding into the DMs.
Well, I do watching TikTok on the bus without headphones unlimited.
Oh, God.